The church was packed with 200 guests, all dressed in their finest clothes, all smiling and dabbing at happy tears. White roses and baby's breath decorated every pew, and sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting rainbow patterns across the marble floor. It was everything I had dreamed of for 2 years of planning. Everything was perfect. I stood at the altar in my ivory gown, holding my bouquet with trembling hands, looking into the eyes of Marcos, the man I was about to marry. He looked so handsome in his tuxedo, his dark eyes warm and loving as he smiled at me. We had just finished our vows. The pastor had just asked if anyone had any reason why we should not be married. It was supposed to be a formality. Nobody ever actually objects at weddings. That only happens in movies. But then Marcus's best man, Jeremy, stood up from his place beside the altar. The entire church went silent. Marcus turned to look at him, confused. I felt my heart start to pound. "I object," Jeremy said, his voice clear and strong, echoing through the church. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Marcus's face went pale, then red with anger. "Jeremy, what the hell are you doing?" Marcus hissed, but his microphone picked it up and everyone heard. Jeremy looked at me and I saw something in his eyes that made my blood run cold. Pity and resolve. "I am sorry, Natalie," he said to me. "I am so sorry, but I cannot let you marry him without knowing the truth. Before I continue, I need to know where you are all watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. I need to feel your support right now because what happened next destroyed everything." "Sit down," Marcus commanded, his voice tight with fury. "Sit down right now, Jeremy. You are drunk. You do not know what you are saying." "I am not drunk," Jeremy said calmly. He turned to address the entire congregation. "Marcus has been cheating on Natalie for the past year, with multiple women. I know because I covered for him. I lied for him. I helped him hide it, and I cannot live with that guilt anymore. Natalie deserves to know the truth before she legally binds herself to a man who does not respect her." The church erupted. People started talking all at once, shocked voices overlapping. My mother cried out. My father stood up from his seat. But I just stood there, frozen, my bouquet slipping from my hands and falling to the floor. White roses scattered across the marble. "That is a lie!" Marcus shouted. He grabbed Jeremy by the arm. "That is a damned lie, and you know it. Why are you doing this? What is wrong with you?" Jeremy pulled his arm free and reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out his phone. "I have proof," he said. "Text messages, photos, hotel receipts, all of it." He walked toward me, holding out his phone, but Marcos lunged forward and knocked it out of his hand. The phone clattered across the floor. The pastor tried to intervene, putting his hands up, trying to calm everyone down. But it was chaos now. Absolute chaos. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him, and I saw the truth in his face before he could hide it. The guilt, the panic, the calculation as he tried to figure out how to lie his way out of this. "Natalie," he said, reaching for me. "Baby, please, do not listen to him. He is lying. He is jealous. He has always been jealous of what we have." I took a step back, away from his reaching hands. "Is it true?" My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from someone else. "No, of course not. I love you. I would never." "Is it true?" I asked again, louder this time. Marcus's jaw tightened. His eyes darted to Jeremy, then back to me. And in that moment of hesitation, I had my answer. I picked up my dress and walked down the aisle. I did not run. I did not cry. I just walked one foot in front of the other past the shocked faces of family and friends, past my weeping mother and my furious father, past the elaborate flower arrangements and the elegant decorations. I walked out of that church and into the parking lot, where the white limousine waited to take us to our reception. The driver saw me coming and quickly got out, opening the door. "Mrs. Thompson," he said uncertainly. "It is still Miss Chen," I said, "and I need you to drive me home, right now." I got into the back of the limousine alone, in my wedding dress, and we drove away from the church while people poured out onto the steps calling my name. The driver, bless him, did not ask any questions. He just drove, and when we arrived at my apartment, the apartment I was supposed to be moving out of that week, he helped me out of the car and asked if I needed him to call anyone. "No," I said, "thank you. I just need to be alone." Inside my apartment, I stood in the middle of the living room in my wedding gown, surrounded by packed boxes labeled with my new married name that I would never use. I still had not cried. I felt numb, disconnected from my body, like I was watching all of this happen to someone else. My phone started ringing. I ignored it. It rang again and again. Text messages poured in. I turned it off. I do not know how long I stood there. Eventually, I unzipped my dress and let it fall to the floor in a pool of ivory silk. I stepped out of it, left it lying there, and went to take a shower. I stood under the hot water until it ran cold, and finally, I cried. The next few hours were a blur. My best friend Aisha showed up at my door with wine and ice cream and just held me while I sobbed. My mother called 100 times until I finally answered, and then she cried with me over the phone. My father wanted to go find Marcus and have a talk with him, which my mother had to physically prevent him from doing. But through it all, one question kept circling in my mind. Why had Jeremy done it? Why had he chosen that moment in front of everyone to blow up my wedding? If he knew about Marcus's cheating, why had he not told me privately, weeks or months ago? Why wait until we were literally at the altar? 2 days after the wedding that never happened, Jeremy showed up at my door. I almost did not let him in, but something made me open the door and step aside. He looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair was messy, and he looked like he had not slept since the wedding. He stood in my doorway, hands shoved in his pockets, looking more miserable than I had ever seen him. "I am sorry," he said. "I know that does not mean anything right now. I know what I did was horrible, but I am sorry." "Come in," I said quietly. We sat on my couch, the same couch where Marcus and I had watched movies and planned our future. The same couch where he had proposed to me 18 months ago. It all felt like it had happened to different people in a different lifetime. "Why did you wait?" I asked. "If you knew he was cheating, why did you not tell me sooner?" Jeremy leaned forward, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. "Because he is my best friend, or he was. We have known each other since we were 7 years old. And I kept telling myself it was not my business, that maybe he would stop, that maybe he would change before the wedding. I convinced myself that telling you would just hurt you for no reason if he was going to stop anyway. But he did not stop. No, he did not stop. 3 nights before your wedding, he was with another woman at a hotel downtown. I saw them together, and I realized he was never going to stop. He was going to marry you and keep cheating on you, and you would find out eventually, but by then you would be legally bound to him. Maybe you would have children with him. Maybe you would waste years of your life before you discovered the truth. Jeremy looked up at me, and his eyes were red. I could not let that happen. I could not stand up there as his best man and watch him make vows to you that I knew were lies. I could not participate in that. So I made a decision. Maybe it was the wrong decision. Maybe I should have told you privately. But I was afraid that if I did, he would convince you I was lying. He is very good at lying, very convincing. I thought if I exposed him publicly, in front of everyone, he would not be able to talk his way out of it. I sat with that for a long moment. You lost your best friend, I said. Yes, but I could not keep betraying you. Every time I looked at you, so happy and excited about the wedding, I felt sick. I was complicit in his lies. I helped him hide what he was doing. I am just as guilty as he is. No, I said firmly, you are not. What you did took courage. Misguided, terrible timing, humiliating in front of 200 people courage, but courage nonetheless. You could have stayed silent. You could have let it happen and kept your friendship with Marcus, but you chose to tell the truth instead. Jeremy's eyes filled with tears. Do you hate me? I thought about it honestly. No, I said. I am angry that you waited so long. I am embarrassed about what happened at the church. I am devastated about all of it. But I do not hate you. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. What are you going to do now? He asked. I do not know, I admitted. Figure out how to return 200 wedding gifts. Cancel a honeymoon to Bali. Tell everyone that the wedding is definitely, permanently off. Try to put my life back together. If you need anything, Jeremy said, standing to leave. Anything at all, please let me know. I know I am probably the last person you want help from, but the offer stands. After he left, I sat alone in my apartment and thought about everything that had happened. The wedding that never was. The marriage that would never be. The future I had planned that had evaporated in an instant. And slowly, underneath the pain and embarrassment and grief, I felt something else starting to grow. Relief. Because Jeremy was right. If he had not spoken up, I would have married Marcus. I would have trusted him. And eventually, maybe months or years down the line, I would have discovered the truth the hard way. Maybe I would have caught him. Maybe someone would have told me. Maybe I would have found evidence on his phone or smelled perfume on his clothes. However it happened, it would have been worse than this, because I would have been his wife, legally, financially, emotionally entangled with a man who did not respect me enough to be faithful. Jeremy had given me a gift, even though it did not feel like one yet. He had given me the truth, and the truth, no matter how painful, was better than living a lie. Over the following weeks, the story of my interrupted wedding became the talk of the town. People I barely knew felt entitled to ask me invasive questions. Some people said Jeremy had done the right thing. Others said he should have told me privately. Marcus tried to contact me dozens of times, alternating between apologies and anger, between begging me to forgive him and claiming Jeremy had exaggerated everything. I blocked his number. I packed up all the things he had left at my apartment and had them delivered to his place. I returned my wedding dress and got a partial refund. I donated the decorations to a charity. I sent back the gifts with apologetic notes, and slowly, painfully, I started to heal. 3 months after the wedding, I ran into Jeremy at a coffee shop. We had not spoken since that conversation in my apartment. He saw me and hesitated, clearly unsure if he should approach, but I smiled and waved him over. "How are you doing?" he asked carefully. Better, I said honestly. It still hurts, but I am getting there. How about you? About the same. Marcos is not speaking to me. Most of our mutual friends took his side, but I am okay with that. I did the right thing, even if it cost me. We talked for almost an hour about everything and nothing, and when we parted ways, I felt lighter somehow, like I had turned a corner. A year later, I am in a completely different place. I have a new job that I love. I have reconnected with friends I had neglected during my relationship with Marcus. I have started therapy to work through my trust issues and to understand how I missed the signs of his betrayal. I have been on a few dates. Nothing serious yet, but I am open to the possibility of love again someday. And Jeremy has become one of my closest friends. We get coffee every few weeks and talk about our lives. He apologized 100 times for how he handled things, and I forgave him 100 times. Because ultimately, he was the only person brave enough to tell me the truth when I needed to hear it most. People ask me if I regret not marrying Marcus, if I wish Jeremy had stayed silent and let me have my perfect wedding day, and the answer is always no, because that perfect wedding day would have led to an imperfect marriage built on lies. It would have led to years of betrayal and heartbreak. Instead, I am free. Free to build the life I actually want, not the life I thought I wanted. Free to find someone who will love me with honesty and respect. Free to be myself without compromising or settling or ignoring red flags because I am too invested to walk away. Jeremy did not ruin my wedding. Marcus did by being unfaithful and dishonest. Jeremy just made sure I found out before it was too late, and for that, I will always be grateful.